This is how you can take your ad account from $100 a day to $1,000 a day to $10,000 a day profitably without burning through cash and without using wrong information or metrics to figure out whether your account can actually scale or if you're really just burning through money and you have an unprofitable and flaky and just underperforming ad account. A lot of brand owners and agency owners, surprisingly, are afraid and probably just don't know the proper steps to scale an account from whether it be $10 to 50 to 100 to 1,000, or they're doing it, and this is sometimes even worse, off of wrong information. They're maybe basing themselves off of one good day that they had in order to determine whether their account can actually scale. And ultimately, that ends up being one of the biggest issues you can have because you are scaling off of incorrect data and off of the wrong trends that you think are happening in your account. So let's walk through it and see how exactly you can scale and what information you should be basing yourself off of in order to actually make your account successful. So there are a few things that you should take into account. When you are trying to scale your account, you need to be looking at your data over the course of a set number of days. The days that we tend to work off of are 3-day windows and 7-day windows. The reason for this is it gives you enough time to ultimately figure out if your campaigns, your ads, your ad sets are actually trending in the right direction, or if you simply just had a fluky good day, maybe even a fluky bad day, that is making the numbers on a day-to-day basis seem much worse or much better than they really are. One of the important things to keep in mind is not just the fact that you need to really give your account a lot more days to figure out whether it's performing well, but also you need to keep in mind how the customer journey really goes. Think about your own personal buying habits. You see an ad, maybe you don't even see an ad. Maybe you go onto Amazon and you see a product. The majority of the time, you will look at that product, you will read the reviews, you will look through different photos, maybe go on TikTok and figure out what other people are saying about it. And then maybe after a few days, you will make that decision to either buy or not buy. But the majority of the time, it won't just be an impulse purchase of one day to the next, especially if your product is maybe over $50, $75. It takes a little bit more decision making to make that purchase and pull the trigger on it. So the way that we like to approach it is look at 3-day window in order to see if we're trending in the right direction, and then look at 7 days in order to figure out whether or not the campaign and the ad set as a whole has been going strongly over a good amount of days. So as you can see, in this case, the client has a metric or a threshold of 1.5 return on ad spend. And if we only looked at the 3-day window, we would see it for this specific campaign, for a testing campaign, it was only getting a 1.48. So what does that tell us? It means that I would have made the wrong decision of not scaling it up because I saw that it had a little bit less information than I was looking for, right? So it was under the 1.5, not great if I was basing it off of that. But if I go back and look at 7 days, I will see that it was actually a 1.69, close to a 1.7, which is way above the target return on ad spend that I had. Why is this important? If I'm basing myself off of only a 3-day window, I might think that the campaign is not working that well. But if I'm really looking at it on a much longer period, and most of our accounts are on a 7-day click attribution, it will show us that it's actually performing really, really well. And I can comfortably increase that budget knowing that it's been going in the right direction for the past 7 days. So why is this important? You need to be able to have enough data in your account in order to make these decisions. And why we want to avoid is making decisions off of 1-day information. The reason for this is, like I said, most customers aren't going to buy in one single day. They're going to take their time. It's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days maybe to make that purchase. That's why we work off of 7-day click attribution, not just a 1-day click. Most of the time, this is going to be something that you do when you have higher spending accounts. But if you're anything under 20, 30, 50, 100K a month, realistically, you can go off of 7-day click comfortably. So part of the other reason it's important is 1-day click could be, as we see here, it can be a bad day. So here on July 3rd, this account had a 0.83 ROAS, which is way, way, way below the target return that we're trying to get for this account. But if we go on July 4th, we see that immediately the next day, it had almost a 1.8. So had I based myself off of 1 day information, I would have slashed that budget, and ultimately we likely would not have gotten this amount of conversion value on July 4th. So it's always important to keep that in mind. Don't rush it. Don't force decisions off of 1 day of information, because 1 day can change the information. The actual metrics can change a lot, and you don't want to make rash decisions that ultimately cause your account to not scale, or even worse, scale and spend money that you probably shouldn't be spending because maybe the ad isn't as good as the numbers are showing for that specific day. So how much do you actually scale? Things are going well. Your KPIs are looking strong. Let's say your target CPA was $25 and your CPA for the past 7 days has been $20. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your daily budget. You're going to multiply it by 15 to 20%, or rather 1.2, which will ultimately give you the new daily budget you want to push. If you want to keep increasing it, the way that I like to approach it is every 3 or 4 days, look at the 7 day window or 7 day date range and ultimately understand, okay, am I still above the target or improving on this target CPA that I have, or above the target ROAS that I have? If yes, go ahead, increase that budget, keep spending until you start seeing a decline. Once you start seeing a decline, let's say 3 or 4 days pass, you see numbers are dipping and you look at the 7 day and it's below, then you can go ahead and decrease or make adjustments to your creatives. But the safest rule is go by 15 to 20% every 3 or 4 days, looking at your 7 day date range. You can expect your return on ad spend, maybe in your cost per acquisition, to dip a little bit over that time. But as you start increasing your budget, your efficiency is going to be mitigated by the volume of sales that you're going to achieve. And as long as you're still above the target KPI that you have, you are safe to increase without any issues. So if you have a target ROAS of 1.5 and you've been pushing at 1.55, but you are doing so at a much, much higher volume, you are okay because you are still making money on those ads and it's still profitable. So just make sure you have your actual KPIs and your minimum break-even number dialed in so that you're making the best financial decision for your business or for your clients. So I hope that was helpful. This is very simple and straightforward, but something that if you're doing it incorrectly, you're going to be burning through cash and ultimately making and scaling an account that is not profitable and has just fake numbers because you're looking at the wrong date range. So if that was helpful, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, and look forward to making more of these and being able to help you guys out some more. Take care.